Uxbridge and the surrounding areas have some of the best transport links around. You can take the Elizabeth line from West Drayton into central London and beyond in one direction and Reading in the other. The Central line runs from West Ruislip into central London as well. There is a wide local bus network, and the Piccadilly line and the Metropolitan line of the Tube run from Uxbridge into central London, and I took the Piccadilly line one stop from Uxbridge to Hillingdon today because I am going to be taking a different mode of transport. I am taking a different type of tube. It's the Oxford Tube. It's a coach, and I'm going from Hillingdon to Headington. The thing to note is that if you are at Hillingdon station, the coaches leaving from that stop go in the direction of London. If you are going to Oxford, you have to walk a little bit down out of the station, cross quite a busy road, dodge some buses along the way, such as that one, and walk down to Long Lane. Now, I've just seen one pass about 2 minutes ago, so they're timed to come every 15 minutes or so. So I think I've got enough time just to walk down here casually, and hopefully the next coach will be there in about maybe 10 minutes by the time I get there. Well, other coach services between Oxford and London are available, such as this one. But for the purposes of today's video, we are concentrating on the Oxford Tube. Well, this is quite good timing because just coming down here now from the slip road on the M40 is the Oxford Tube, but not the one I need. This is the one that is heading into London. Oh dear, is it not working? Nope, the traffic lights are out. I'm going to have to take my life into my hands here and cross this incredibly busy road. It's a slip road, as I said, from the M40. Let's give it a go. And we'll just walk behind this car here to get across. I need to get over there where that green bus is. Right, the last crossing of the main road at least. And I can see the coach stop just down there. There we are. It's just at the end of Long Lane. The actual stop is OX. Quite appropriately, we're going to Oxford, or heading in that direction. And the stop name is Hillingdon Circus. Well, I've now switched over to my stealth mode glasses, so it's a bit easier to film when I get onto the bus, but we'll switch back to normal mode once we're on board, unless it's incredibly busy. I don't think it will be. It's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and it's the middle of March when I'm filming this, so I don't think it's going to be particularly busy at this time. And what I want to do is to sit upstairs and try to get a good view of the countryside as we pass along the A40 and then the M40 motorway heading in towards Headington, which is just outside Oxford. And I also want to try to use the toilet facilities, and then on the way back we will try to sit downstairs and just get a different view, a different perspective of the bus. Now, Paul used to actually take the Oxford Tube every day to work for a while. He was working in Oxford and we were living here in Uxbridge. This was a few years ago, before we started moving all around the country. And I had got a job in Oxford as well. I was driving in, but we started at very different times of the day. And so for a few months we were travelling in until we moved to Abingdon. So Paul's got a lot of experience of waiting for this bus, and he said usually it was raining because it was the middle of winter. Oh dear, are we recording? Yeah, the light's flashing. Right, well, it's 9 minutes past 10. The last bus that we saw was at 9:55, and it's on time, and at least you're not going to miss it standing here because it's quite a clear road. It's got its indicator on, but I'll put my arm out anyway. Hi, can I get a day return, please? £24, please. Okay. Thanks very much.
Scan that there.
The Oxford Tube is an express coach service running between Buckingham Palace Road in London for Victoria Coach Station and Gloucester Green Bus Station in Oxford city centre. The service is operated by Stagecoach, with services running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with a 10-minute frequency at peak hours. All coaches are double-deckers with a toilet, Wi-Fi and USB charging ports. There is no refreshment service on board, unlike some coaches run by National Express, where a jolly hostess selling crisps and tea will provide you with drinks and theatrical winks for a sky-high fee, so says the Divine Comedy. Well, I've come downstairs, not only to use the toilet, but I wanted to get away from two people who had the volume up on their phone. This is a scourge on public transport, not only in the UK, but other places as well, but I think the UK has it pretty bad. Every day when I travel on the tube, there are people playing music or other stuff, TikToks, all that sort of thing, out loud on their phones, and I have to keep changing seats, and I'm absolutely fed up with it. Something's got to be done about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. So that has spoilt my journey. The good news is that it seems relatively quiet downstairs. The thing was, I had a really good seat up there, right at the top of the stairs, and it was one where you don't get the window seat at the front. It's the best one to have if you want to film things. But anyway, I did feel as though I needed to use the loo, and well, I thought this is a good opportunity to check it out. So we have obviously a toilet here. I'll not lift the lid, I don't know what might be there. There's a little bin, toilet paper, and we will try the soap and the hand wash now. So it looks as though this is soap. Oh yes it is. It smells like soap, just regular soap. Oh, that's the dryer. Where's the water? Oh, what's this? Water. Oh, gosh, that's weird. The water's over there, and then the dryer button is here. Okay, so soap, water, dryer. I would say that's in a bit of a weird sort of position, but there you go. I'll dry my hands and then I'll use the loo. I suppose I better stop recording this now. Gosh, well, it's a tighter squeeze in here than on an aeroplane. I'd only recommend going if you're desperate. Right, so I've arrived in Headington, which is just outside of Oxford. Now, what did I think of the journey? Well, let's talk about the cost first of all. You can get a ticket on the app. There's various types of tickets. And for me, it would have been an adult return at £22.50. Now, the only thing is, on the app, it says that once you activate it, you have got 15 minutes to use it. Well, I don't like footering around with apps and everything when transport is concerned, if you've just got a finite amount of time. I know I could have activated it just before the coach came, but I was filming and everything, and I didn't really want to risk anything going wrong, so I thought I'll just pay the onboard fare, which was £1.50 more at £24. Now that's still not too bad. So there used to be a Hillingdon only ticket, which I think was if you were travelling from Hillingdon into London, but as far as I know that no longer exists. It certainly doesn't appear on the app. So if you're paying on board, it will be £24 return for an adult, no matter where you're going. What about the facilities on board? Well, there was a USB, there was a coat hook, there was a table, not where I was sitting first of all, because I was right up at the top overlooking the stairs, but there are seat back tables, and that worked fine when I was downstairs. And there was also the footrest, not on that particular seat upstairs, and also if you were sitting at the window there wouldn't be one there either. Now, of course, what really annoyed me, and this is my big thing about public transport, which is why, although I love taking public transport, I also loathe having to take it because of other people who are just completely inconsiderate. So these two people had their phone up, listening to something in a foreign language. It doesn't matter what it is. In some ways it's better it's a foreign language because I don't know what it's saying, but whatever it is, it's annoying. Why do people do that? Do earphones and headphones not exist anymore? It is just so annoying, so inconsiderate, and just downright rude. So at least downstairs it was quiet and I was able to enjoy the last bit of the journey there. Now, of course, I do have to get home later, but first of all, there's a few things I want to see here in Headington.
Don't be a tosser. Subscribe to It's Paul and Marcus on YouTube.
My first port of call is Waitrose, and I want to pick up the local papers. Well, I said newspapers, but in fact I was only able to get one, the Oxford Mail, and I used to work for them a few years ago. The other paper that I was hoping to get was the Oxford Times, which is also produced by the same company, but it's a weekly newspaper. Now, it comes out on a Thursday, I believe, and this is Tuesday, so it looks as though they're sold out, but I'll see if I can pick one up somewhere else. But here's another little tip and trick for you if you are going to Waitrose. If you have their card, and that's their loyalty card, and if you buy anything at all, even a banana, you can get a free coffee, and I've got a cappuccino here today. And as long as you scan your loyalty card when you make a purchase, it'll put the price through but then take the money off for the cost of the drink, and this would have been £3.15. So I'm going to enjoy my cappuccino. Well, I'm enjoying my free coffee. Let's take a look around Headington and see what sort of shops they've got. Well, there's a Costa Coffee, a Greggs, a Cancer Research UK charity shop, a Savers and Iceland supermarket over there. And you'll also see the 400 City and Rail Station bus via Thornhill Park and Ride and Brookes University. There's lots of buses go through this area, so if you are living around here or visiting, it's easy to get in and out of Oxford. Headington barbers. Well, I cut my own hair, so I don't need them, but I'm sure they're very good. Ooh, look at this. Not the bins, but the bikes. So it's a bit of a London type bike scheme here, or any major city now. Is that VOI? Never heard of them, but they are rather nice looking, pinky, sort of salmony coloured bikes. There's no shortage of places to eat and drink. There's a Cafe Nero over there. We already saw that there was a Costa and a Greggs. And I've been to Headington before when we lived in Oxford, and one thing I did notice was that there's lots of supermarkets. We had Waitrose, of course. There's a Tesco Express here. I might actually go in there to see if I can get the Oxford Times. And on the other side of the road, there's a Sainsbury's local. Actually, I've got a Sainsbury's gift card to use, and it expires in a couple of days. So I think I'm going to go in there a bit later on and see if I can get the paper there. There's a Boots, the British Heart Foundation. It's not a huge area, but there's everything you need here. And in front of me, I see a petrol station, and would you believe it's also got a Waitrose. We've got a nice little Chinese restaurant and a Subway sandwich bar behind me here as well. Well, we saw those bikes earlier. There's one more here, and it looks as though that this is the actual bike centre, bike park, if you like. There it is, VOI. Well, I was very lucky because Sainsbury's had the very last copy of the Oxford Times. So I've got my full set now. If you come to Headington, there is one thing you must see, and that is the Headington shark. Now, what is that, you might ask? Well, it's a shark sticking out of a house. It was the brainchild of the late Bill Heine, who used to be a columnist on the Oxford Mail and also on BBC Radio Oxford. He was a broadcaster for many years, and he placed this rather interesting item in the roof of his house as a political statement. Look it up online if you want any further information about all the background of it, but let's take a look at the shark. You can find the shark on New High Street, and there's also this little memorial item to it here, and it looks as though there's information about it from Oxford City Council. Select, turn and listen. It doesn't work. If you've got a few minutes to kill before your coach back to London, or Hillingdon in my case, then Bury Knoll Park is right next to the stop. Let's take a little look around. Well, that's interesting. Just outside the park is Posh Fish. And look, it's even got its own shark. That's another Headington shark. Well, I know you probably can't make it out on the dot matrix, but it does say that the next tube to London Victoria is in 7 minutes. Well, now it says it's 1 minute. It said it was 7 minutes 2 minutes ago, so what is going on? Now it says 5 minutes, but the 1 minute was correct. It is on its way.
We will shortly be arriving at Hillingdon. Change here for London Underground Metropolitan Line to Wembley and the Piccadilly Line. Please remain seated until the coach stops.
Thank you. I'm back in Hillingdon and the coach is pulling off on its way towards London now. So a couple of other things to say about the trip. One, that it took about 45 to 50 minutes each direction, and that was pretty good. It is middle of the day, morning going, early afternoon coming back, so not a lot of traffic. At rush hour it might take a little bit longer, and also that the Wi-Fi worked perfectly in both directions. So I think that the Oxford Tube is quite a good way to get to Oxford or into London, and if you're at Hillingdon, well, we have the option here to go both ways. Well, I do hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee to help us along the way, we'd be very grateful, and the link is in the description. Well, I've got to get the tube one stop back to Uxbridge now, and we'll see you next time. Bye!